Welcome to Roundel Live. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. We had snow. Isle of Man, we had snow this week, which of course resulted in what? As an ex-police officer, you will know.
It was carnage, I think, on the roads.
Yes,
Everyone
of
got
course.
caught out, but we did have an Everbridge warning, didn't we, the night before? I like these little random texts that you get about coastal overtopping.
Explain what
and
Everbridge
what
is,
have you.
because I don't think everyone knows.
It's the government emergency text or email. I don't know where it comes from, maybe the Cabinet Office. I mean, I thought it was actually designed for, say, the 4-minute warning and what have you, but really it said there was going to be some extreme in temperature. And, of course, it was the following morning, all the buses came to a standstill. There was, difficulties up Richmond Hill and just around the centre of the island. So it was the same old thing. We're waiting. Are the schools on? Are the schools off? And a lot of people's livelihoods are disrupted, just having that bit of time, to think about, do we need childcare today? Or can we get to work? Because for a lot of people, a day off work is a 20% wage cut for the weekly wage.
Yeah, every time it snows here, people, and you can't really blame the people or the driver for it, because we get 1 or 2 snow days once in a while. And if you're not used to driving on snow, I grew up in Bavaria. I passed my driving test in a snowstorm, quite literally. If you're not used to it, it can be a bit daunting and it can be off-putting. If you don't have winter tires, for example, it's outright dangerous to do it. And, I understand if people want to stay home, and I would always recommend if you're snowed in or if it's icy outside and you don't feel safe, then, work from home if you can, or you would hope the employers are understanding. But I think people also need to help out themselves. Now, we only have 6 gritters on the Isle of Man, and the DOI has a plan, apparently. And, not apparently, they have a plan. It's public. You can look it up. How they grid, what routes they grid. They're supposed to grid. But we can't expect them to come through every side road. There's the yellow boxes at the side of the road with the grid boxes. In case you don't know them, look out for the yellow plastic boxes. Each of them has a number. If it's empty, note the number, phone the phone number on it. So they have a serial number, and someone will come and refill it. I've tried that many times. And then we can help ourselves and just basically grid our own estates. So why should I wait for the DOI?
Well, I think that the main routes, they just have that little clue, and it's that fantastic Find My Bus app. So if the buses are moving at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, then the routes are fine. If they're halted and there's, difficulties, and we've got our boys and girls in the constabulary to check the roads. And let's face it, it's usually the same old spots. It's Cronkyvoddy, it's St Mark's, it's the Braid, it's Richmond Hill. We know the mountain is going to be out of bounds. So it's not too difficult, but it just seems to me that it all goes a bit chaotic and nobody knows what's going on. So you'd think, well, hang on, there's going to be bad weather. Why don't we have a little plan so we can actually start making decisions at 4 a.m. in the morning and then call in the infrastructure authorities, maybe, have the assistance of the gritters and what have you. But actually by 6:30, we could say, look, there's going to be no schools on today. It sounds pretty simple to me.
I would agree, and I'm sure they have some sort of plan, but maybe the decision-making processes aren't as clear as they should be, or they want to wait for the weather report. Actually, on the subject of weather report, I found the weather report surprisingly unreliable over here at times. Especially when it came to the snow thing. So they predicted some snow, and then there was more, I think, than they predicted. Then the next day they said, everything will be fine and clear. And I looked out the window in the morning, and Summerhill was like an ice rink again. And I was like, well, is there maybe, don't they get the right data or something? I think, I don't know if you have the same impressions, but to me the weather report seemed to be off.
Question then, which weather do you go to?
The Isle of Man Ronaldsway one.
But if I ask that question to someone else, they go to XC Weather, they go to BBC.
No, I tend to take Ronaldsway, and I also tend to take the shipping forecast because they have to get it right, otherwise people die. So if you want to know if there's a storm coming, the shipping forecast is usually quite good.
But sometimes I think maybe they over-egg it, so you're not disappointed. So yeah, that's what I have a feeling, because always during the week I think I'm going to play golf on Saturday morning, but it says it's raining, and then the day before it changes, like tomorrow, I think it's fine, so I can get out. But it's not an exact science. It's
No, and the other thing is, as drivers, we sometimes need to be a bit smart. For example, I live on Summerhill, right? And
Yeah,
the
it's like it's
steepest-
a ski slope, isn't it?
yeah, it's one of the
Really?
steepest hills, not the steepest.
How does the
but-
electric battery car manage? Does it just
Ooh,
kind of
don't
slide
ask.
down the hill?
I like my little EV, but as you've seen in my video, that's got like what 5,000-6,000 views already. Me tootling along the promenade. The problem with an EV is it has regenerative braking, and you can't switch that off. So it's like an engine brake, right? If you're in a petrol car and you're in a low gear and you go off the gas, you have this engine braking thing. Except in EV, it's much stronger. It's if you're on ice and I go off the pedal, and regen kicks in, it feels like you're pulling the handbrake on, which of course is not very good if you're going downhill on an icy road. And unfortunately, in the BMW that I have, you cannot switch it off. There are some other EVs that are better that have winter modes. Mine doesn't. It's always on. And I found that out last year when I came down from the crack during the snow. Of course, I'm out filming, and people are always like, well, why do you go out filming? Well, because that's what I do. And I came down the crack in the snow, and I'm used to snow driving. And I go off the gas, and suddenly the car goes sideways because regen braking is like pulling the handbrake. And I was like, oh, this is not good. So no, my EV is not fun in the winter, and this will amuse everyone who loves petrol cars. It's absolute in the winter.
Well, I did see there was some video. Is it on Broadway where there's some difficulty there?
Oh, that was hilarious.
That's
yeah.
a nice touch.
We'll link to that in the description. That was a
Whoever
great
put that
video.
in. But at the end of the day, the kids got a rest. They got to play out in the snow, and that's what memories are made of. So, a snow day every now and again doesn't do any harm.
True, but again, drivers, my original point, when you see someone like Summerhill or any of the other hills, Prospect Hill, and you see it's icy, don't drive up there. The number of cars that tried to get up Summerhill when it was pure ice, and then were surprised when the wheels were spinning, and then of course put their foot down and go, burn out all the way, or then come sliding back down. It's like, if you see the road is icy, just don't bloody drive up there.
And of course,
how hard is it?
to get there, you've probably negotiated 2 roundels. So I'd say it's, few and far between. Just think about it. Is that journey absolutely necessary?
Do you know how tempted I was to pull donuts on the white part of the promenade when it was icy?
Oh, blimey.
But I knew I would be end up on Facebook, so I didn't.
Well, I think it's always a good topic to talk about is the island's reaction to the snow. But I think the clues are in Find My Bus, because you can see the buses moving. So if they're not moving, surely decisions can be made from that. And we've got our emergency services who are on duty all night long, and maybe just start to get the ball rolling, because if those buses aren't moving, then no one's going to school. And that sort of decision could be made at 6:30.
And it's not.
No. So a lot of people are just left hanging, childcare arrangements at the last minute, that kind of thing. And it's people's livelihoods as well,
Well, should we maybe have, because we have so few snow days, right? Should we have some sort of allowance in the employment law that says if the government declares a snow day, you are entitled to, even if you don't have sick pay or something, you're entitled to pay? Might that be worth doing, or is that going too communist?
I think we've just got to wait till the ransom payout to find out how much money
we
is
have left,
in the
yes.
kitty. But something to ponder about, and I'd back that for sure.
But in the meanwhile, don't wait for the DOI to come around to your estate. Get a bucket, go to the yellow box,
That's right.
throw some salt on the road.
Yeah, effective too. So there we go. That's snow done.
Snowden? Yes, that's snow done. See you next time.